Hi, Ken Walker here, back with the Eco-Spirit Living Island. As most people know today, we're experiencing an unprecedented ecological crisis that, unless it's acknowledged and responded to, it's going to get worse. Now, I say unprecedented ecological crisis in the context of humans. The Earth has been through much greater than what we're going to go through. One of the reasons we're doing this climate study here is in response to the ecological crisis. How it will affect the island. The Earth always changes. The island has always changed. When you go back to the notion that it's the island of pines, I mean, obviously, pines dominated, as they still do. I've always wondered, though, how many other trees were on the island. Was it a stand of white pine? I remember being in Northern Ontario, actually studying forestry, in a place called Temagami. And it was white pines, stands of ancient white pines that they were simply cutting down. That was it. And we see that today, and so we're looking at, well, what the effects will be, and we're open to whatever happens. We tend, though, to see this in a duality. It's either the environment or the economy. It could be both, and if we unify them, we may save the environment and save the economy. I think things will change. It won't be exactly what it is, but it may be better than it could be. But these are only the symptoms of an underlying problem, which you can be turned in spiritual, moral, psychological, whatever suits you. But it's where we've come to in the 21st century. But its origins actually go back to the Age of Enlightenment, when Western culture began to turn its collective back on the sacred and embraced what we call the scientific. And we started looking at the Earth, instead of being a living system, it was more like a clockwork mechanism. And it could be understood by us, controlled by us, and exploited by us for our consumption. When you go back on the island here and the surrounding area, when William Davidson started shipbuilding, fishing, and timber, he didn't see it as sacred. He saw it as profit. And the more he could maximize that, the better he felt. And when you think of all the wooden ships that were built on the island from his time to almost, the beginning of the last quarter of the 19th century, I am amazed at, first of all, how they put a ship together using trees. But at the same time, think of all those trees that were just cut down so that you could build a ship, sometimes just to go to war and destroy another ship, or to bring people around the world, bring the world back here. I mean, that's what was happening. I remember just back here one day finding a piece of coral. Well, no coral around here, and have been for hundreds of millions of years. But that was something that got put on a boat, probably down in the Caribbean, brought back. Somebody either, threw it overboard, dropped it, or whatever. But to find that, you're connecting to something that's long gone and me in the present moment. Long time ago, nature, this right here, was seen as a place of wisdom. The earth taught us things. It teaches every tree behind me and all the animals that are on the island, the fish that's in the rivers here. The earth teaches us how to live and to know the limitations and the capabilities of each species and in each organism. All of this grass right here, these bushes, the trees, each one is there in a sense because they can be there. They're not planted someplace else. Whatever this bush is, and I have no idea what it is, it's here because it can be here. It has evolved to be here. Those trees behind me have evolved to be here in this situation. And of course, that's the ecological crisis, isn't it? If the situation changes, can they make the change? The question is, can we make the change? We are creatures of the earth. We evolved from the earth. We learned what it was to be as an earthling. And we've lost that. Today, we're more dependent on technology than wisdom, and certainly more on technology than the earth. We become separated. It's like two people who were in love, and they were intimate. And then as time went on, they changed. And as they changed, they lost that intimacy. And they lost the communion that they had. We're beginning to lose our identity as a biological species. We're beginning to understand ourselves as a technological species because it's technology that literally evolves us now. Just last night I was reading an article where they're saying culture has more of an impact on human evolution than genes do. So where you live, how you live, the context in which you live is going to define you more than the genetic makeup. When you think of the people that lived here, whether the Mi'kmaq or the people who built ships or whatever, their worldview was conditioned by their life here. And given the road we're on, it's going to push us further from our connection to the earth. This may sound strange, but we need to repent. I don't mean that in religious terms, although. We need to stop doing what we're doing because we're heading to a crisis. We need to turn around, we need to think, and we need to go in a different direction. And this is going to mean we're going to need a change in the way we live. But the thing is, when William Davidson was here in 1790, when he died, the world wasn't the same as it is now. When they built the last ship on this island in, 1866, the world isn't the way it was for Davidson. It's not the way it was for us now. It's always changing. But the further we get away from the earth itself, the more we're going to be lost. This is the living island. Take care.